Hey, welcome to Random Guitar Battle number 7. This is where we put a bunch of guitarist names into a hat. Well, it's not actually a hat, but it's like a glass bowl. And I shake it up and I draw the two guitarists out, and then we vote on which one we think is better. And this is round 6, and boy, did we get a really interesting matchup here. We've got Eric Clapton versus Eddie Van Halen. So, 3 points for each of these guitar players, and then use your expertise to vote in the poll. So the first thing I'd say about Eric Clapton is he's a foundational guitarist. He's one of the people who originally translated all of the old-time blues music into a rock format. Primarily John Miles, Blues Breakers, and Cream and the Yardbirds, and then later as a solo artist, his primary contribution was blues bass guitar. And for this, he is not only important as a musician, as a guitar player, but as an artist, as a cultural force, because he brought what had been a relatively obscure form of music into the front of the popular imagination. The second thing, of course, is his playing, and he's one of the most lyrical players. He sings with his guitar in the manner of B.B. King, and he's very much influenced by players such as B.B. King and Muddy Waters. One of the things about it is that there's such a close fusion between his playing and his singing that it's almost magical. It's different than other guitar players. Now, there's a lot of people who attempt to do it, but there's very few who can fuse their singing and their guitar playing so closely as Clapton. So the third thing that I would mention about Clapton is that he is one of the best improvisational players, and he's on my list of best improvisational players if you want to check out that video. But he's a special kind of improvisational player, meaning that while he has a stock palette of licks that he can pull out at any time to solo, he rarely relies on them. He makes licks up on the spot in virtually every solo that he plays. And sure, that's cool. Lots of guitar players do this. But the difference is Clapton doesn't hit a wrong note. He doesn't almost find the right note. He finds the right note. I've been listening to Clapton play for decades, and I've never heard him hit a bad or even a muffed note. There's just really no clams to be had. Okay, so with Eddie Van Halen, what can you say? Eddie Van Halen did the same thing as Clapton as far as transforming the face of music, but he did it by making the guitar an acrobatic instrument. It wasn't just that he had a Hendrix style of innovation of making the guitar do noises and playing with feedback and using incredible techniques. It was that he had a different personality on the guitar. It was definitely the embodiment of like a 51-50 spirit, a trickster spirit, a crazy, absolutely maniacal, and at the same time impeccably musical. All right, so the second thing is, of course, the tapping technique. He didn't invent it, but he popularized it, and he used it in a more effective way than anybody else. I mean, you could say there are people who do it better, but there aren't people who use it accessible way, in a more straightforward, fundamentally part of his DNA. And then the third thing that I would say about Eddie Van Halen as a guitarist is he's a really, really good songwriter. Not just a riff writer, but a really good songwriter. Clapton has deficiencies in this area. He tends to do songs that were written by other people or songs that he collaborates on, whereas Eddie was a songwriting machine. He could write pop songs, he could write hard rock songs. I'm sure there's a lot of experimental stuff we haven't even heard. So anyway, those are my 3 points about each of these incredible mythic level legendary guitarists, and now you guys got to do the hard work and vote on them and tell me which one you think is better. So leave a comment in the section below. Remember to like and subscribe, and most importantly, vote in the poll. Thanks a lot.